World of Tanks Blitz released to the public sometime in 2014, which, if you do the math, is been over 8 years. And of course, over the course of time, the game has started to look better and better. However, one thing that's very special about Blitz is that even though it is over 8 years old, and that the graphical quality has gone up so much, it is still easily recognizable as being that game that came out in 2014, just of course with the higher graphical quality. And there are a few things that lend itself to this. First of all, it's a tank game, and of course those types of games don't typically change too much, especially with some OG tanks like the IS-7 and such. But as well, there are some UI things about the game and general functions about the game that have just stayed the same throughout all of the years. And sure, there have been a few UI changes over the course of time, but even with that, it still looks fairly the same. In fact, it looks just about the same with maybe just a slight tweak here and there. Such is the case with the quick commands that you can easily see in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, real quick, here are some screenshots of the quick command over the course of the years, and you can see as we're going through here, it's really only ever changed once, and even then it was really just the shape of the quick commands changed a little bit from a quarter circle down in the bottom corner to a full circle in the bottom corner. But the point I'm making here is that it has basically stayed the same. In fact, there has been almost no change at all to this ever. Now, why do I bring this up? Well, of course, the reason I'd be bringing it up is because for the first time ever, the quick commands are actually receiving a change, and not a small one at that. Here are a few different GIFs and images that'll kind of give you an idea as to what's going on here. So basically, Wargaming has decided to rework this 8-year-old system and go with something that's a little bit more modern, I guess is their way of thinking about it. But basically what's going to happen, it's going to be a lot more similar to some modern games, where you got that circle that shows up in the middle, and then you can choose from a bunch of different commands. Now, personally, I think this is not necessarily a bad change. For me personally, I don't actually like these kinds of wheel designs. I would really much prefer, if I was to actually play on a mobile device, to just tap the corner and then select something just with my thumbs. Super easy. Maybe this is how this is going to work. I'm assuming you're going to somehow have to hold the button and then turn it around or something. I'm not sure exactly what the mechanics are into selecting something different than just attack, but either way, it is interesting. I will say it really depends on how they integrate this, but in general, I would say just keeping everything in the bottom corner might be kind of nice. Now, thankfully, what Wargaming is doing is on PC as well. This is something that's also coming to PC. However, not to worry, you can actually just memorize, for me, F4 is always help. F4. Oh, man, I know what buttons to press when I need to press them, but I can't remember them when I'm actually talking about them. But I've come to learn and to memorize the quick commands, or just tapping a button on my keyboard to actually be able to do these commands, so thankfully that does look like it is going to stay. However, I think the biggest change is just going to come for mainly the mobile users and how that interface works with trying to select these different quick commands, which may be helpful, maybe not. And of course, if you've been playing with the old system if you've been around since the beginning of the game, 8 years, which is a very long time to get a lot of muscle memory for a particular system, this could be a bit of a curveball, but hopefully you can kind of get used to it fairly quickly. Now, an interesting thing to note here is that you can also just, I believe, single tap. As far as what I'm seeing here is you can single tap the button and it'll just be attack like normal, or you can actually double tap it or maybe hold it and then it'll bring up this menu. Wargaming's been a little bit vague as to how this works in detail, but in general, that does seem to be the way that they're going. As well, there does also seem to be a possibly new feature in this special quick commands that will allow you to be able to check the capture status in the wheel. So maybe without looking directly at a base or something, you can see the base capture status right there. I'm not really sure how this is helpful, if that is what they're talking about, because it's pretty obvious on your screen based on the base captures. If it's supremacy, it's all the way at the top. You can see all 3 bases without even looking around, and as well, in a single capture, it's very glaring just how close the enemy team is to capturing, or perhaps how close you are. But either way, just another nice thing to get more detail out of this. So all in all, I'd say it's an interesting change. Might be a little bit awkward just at the start, but it does look like, if you can see in some of these images, you're not limited to the bottom right hand corner. If you get used to this system, you can put it wherever you want, which seems pretty interesting. And really, I'm just very glad that they made it so that quick commands on PC will still work, so I can just hit buttons, because I'm going to be really honest, I never, ever tap the button to bring this quick command thing up. It's basically something that I just keep minimized 100% of the time, unless of course I'm playing on mobile, which is once in a blue moon. But anyway, those are all of the changes coming to the quick commands feature. In general, I think it could, over time, actually possibly be a better system. At least that's the hope. However, I do think that a lot of players might have a bit of an adjustment period trying to get used to the different features of this system. But in general, it does seem like it's going to be fairly decent. But with that, I do hope you all enjoyed, and as always, have fun, good luck, and happy tanking.